Hi, I'm Alexa, and I am a US citizen. I became a US citizen in 2020, and I am very proud of this fact. Tonight, I want to talk about a few things because here in Iowa, in the past week and a half or so, the Secretary of State released information that allegedly over 2,000 Iowans, based on their driver's license information, have registered to vote who aren't eligible to vote. The problem is that when you become a naturalized citizen, you don't update the information at the DMV. It is not an accurate source of information on whether a person is a US citizen and eligible to vote. I asked specifically when I became a naturalized citizen if I needed to go and update it and was told no, not until you have to renew your license. You can just do it then. So I didn't. They have had this known information for 4 years since I became a citizen that there's a discrepancy. My DMV record does say that I am a resident alien because I was a resident alien at the time that I last got my license updated, and I have not had to go and update it yet since then, since becoming a citizen. The biggest issue that I have with this stunt, and it is a stunt, it is an absolute disgraceful partisan stunt, is the timing. He released this information 2 weeks before Election Day, when people have already started voting, early voting has started across the state. I had already submitted my ballot when on Thursday I received a letter saying that I'm on that list. How dare they? How dare they? I am very lucky, where others may not be, that I was able to go within an hour of receiving that letter to my county auditors, back to my county auditors, and provide what proof was needed. They could have had this list, sent something out from the Secretary of State a year ago, and said, hey, you're going to want to get this cleared up before the election comes around. They didn't. They waited until 2 weeks prior. And I can only guess at the exact reasons, but there's a few. One is the fear that this is going to cause Iowans and the distrust of the election results should they not go the way that the Secretary of State wants them to go. We are already seeing this across the country at every level, from the Republican Party and people in power who are already calling into question the results that haven't even come out yet. We haven't even started tallying the results. How can you say that it's fake and that it's all a lie and you can't trust it when it hasn't even happened yet? This is incorrect. By releasing this just 2 weeks prior to Election Day, what they have done is they have set the stage to make a lot of people fearful, and people will react and potentially vote differently out of fear than they would if they were not constantly bombarded with this dramatic, fearful message. The other thing is that it is going to suppress the vote of certain individuals until you get a letter from your auditor telling you, or in my case, I got that because I had already early voted. If you show up on the day, imagine the embarrassment of standing in line and them saying, yeah, you can't vote today. You can just have a provisional ballot, but you got to prove you're a citizen. Imagine the embarrassment if you didn't know that you needed to take something with you. Let's not even get into the fact that if you are a US citizen, you don't actually have to go show proof of anything to them. It's a double standard that they're taking your word for something, but they're not taking mine and other people's. I am obviously personally affected by this. I am obviously personally offended by the absolutely disgusting, hateful, divisive rhetoric that has been going on for way longer than the past 4 years, probably the past 8 to 10 years, even further back. Challenging, and when you come up, let's say you are challenged if you're a US citizen and you bring your birth certificate in. Well, yeah, back in 2008, they said that Obama's birth certificate, the proof that they demanded, they'd said that was fake. Nothing is ever good enough for a certain subset of people that have unfortunately taken over one of the major political parties in this country. It has been absolutely egregious to watch. First, as a very impartial citizen who had no way, a non-citizen, I should say, as a resident alien before I became a citizen, to watch this slide from sort of outside and to see what was happening and how very dangerous it was going to get. It was actually the actions over the past 15, 20 years that eventually convinced me that I needed to put my money where my mouth was and make sure that my voice was included and was heard. And that was the final tipping point in me deciding to become a citizen. I do have some facts for you from the Pew Research Center. I will drop that link. Um, Over 93% of naturalized citizens have been in the US for over 10 years. And if I'm reading the information correctly, that is when they go and become a naturalized citizen. In my case, I'd been here over 20 years. That is, these people are not just showing up and becoming a citizen overnight. You can't. The laws around how to become a citizen outside of some very small sort of political asylum, things like that, um, you have to have had your green card or been a legal resident alien for a minimum of 5 years. And in some cases, depending on your country of origin, and I don't agree with this and I would have to do more research on it on why certain you might not have you might have to wait longer than 5 years is what I've been reading. And that's really ridiculous. Why are we holding people to different standards from where they're from in order for them to become a citizen, right? Why are we requiring them to meet a higher standard? That's a whole topic for a different day, but the immigration system is certainly in need of reforms, and I am the first to say that. I fully admit that. I fully support that. Now, they don't need to be taking a wrecking ball to something that needs a scalpel, right? It needs to be done carefully and considerately and with bipartisan support. We need to collaborate and listen to each other. The other fact that I have is that in Iowa in 2020, 1,000 no, 148,000, excuse me, 988 people uh voted in the national election. Another thing today I read is that the US ICS, the federal government, actually looked at the list that Pate had. And the list is not public, and nor should it be, because if people see it and they see people's names, they could become violent and essentially accuse them of a federal crime when they're not. Like, the federal government looked and said that only 250 of those over 2,000 names could could potentially have registered in error. And registering to vote doesn't mean you've actually tried to vote, right? It's very easy to check a box on a form incorrectly. We've all done it at some point in time previously. If they haven't actually tried to vote, that's the crime as far as I'm aware. I don't know what the rules are about saying you're eligible, mistakenly saying you're eligible. I do have to look into that more. But 250, let's say worst case scenario, all 250 of those people did err, right? 250 is not even it's not even 1%. It's like a quarter of a percent of people. It's in alignment with the overall national average of non-citizens who have tried to register to vote or whatever how you want to say it. Like voter fraud is so rare. And we know this because of all of the audits, all of the, checks and balances in all of these states. What's not rare is voter intimidation. What is not rare is voter suppression. And right now, in this century, in this day and age, right now, today, one party is doing more of it than the other. Does that pendulum swing over time? It sure does. Okay. We've all heard people on the Republican side say, well, the Democrats were the ones who were for slavery. That was 150 years ago. And yeah, that's not good. Definitely not good. But what are the platforms today, now, right here, right? Because 150 years ago, we've changed. Society has changed. People have changed. Platforms have changed. I'm obviously personally affected by this. This is undeniable. I think it is ridiculous. It is absolutely an insane partisan handling of this issue. They could have, even prior, if let's say they were waiting on the US government, the Secretary of State could have 6 months ago, 3 months ago, even sent out a letter to everyone affected and say, hey, we have this conflicting information. You're going to want to take care of this before election day. They could have. They didn't. And you have to ask yourself why. Why did they not do it like that? Why did they wait until 2 weeks prior to election day to make this whole brouhaha public? The reason, absolutely, when you look at everything else that is going on, when you look at the public comments of these people, including the Secretary of State, other Republican leaders in this state, across the country, the reason is fear, and the reason is to sow doubt about the integrity of our elections. I am asking you, as a human, as a person who has been affected by this, needlessly affected by this, don't fall for it. Do not fall for this psychological petty trick. We need to do better. We need to do better as a people, as a society. We need to hold these leaders accountable. We need to stop demonizing people who are different than us. The majority of people, they just want what's best. They want to leave the world better for the people that they love around them. They want to make life easier for the people they love. Most of us would help other people around us. Most of us try. Why are we allowing this divisive rhetoric? Why are we allowing this fear mongering? I love studying psychology and human nature, motivators, drivers, things around like that. And rationally, reasonably, in my mind, I can understand logic. That doesn't take away the emotions I feel at what is wrong. And this behavior, this action, this thing that they have done is wrong. I am privileged. I have the means to take care of this situation. I have the ability to not get penalized so that my vote doesn't get counted. There are people who are not in that position. And it is for those people that I am here and that I am using my voice. If you made it this far, thank you. As always, be kind to yourself.